Parents of Reddit, what is the weirdest thing you caught your children doing? My son licked my toe. I asked him what he was doing, and he said time traveling. He was 3. When my son was about 4, he was playing in his playroom. I was on the couch and heard some sounds behind me. It was just us. So I turn and see my son looking up at the light fixtures and whispering. I ask what he's doing. His response: I'm asking all the light bulbs in the house to not fall and kill you. Thanks, son. He's truly got my back. Not my child, but I've caught my sister doing multiple strange things as a child. The 2 most notable were: I once caught her playing with a bag with yellowish liquid inside when she was 10. She had pulled this bag from the side of her backpack. I asked her what it was. It was her own pee. She had been keeping it in there for days, and once in a while she'd pull it out, go play with. I was horrified. When she was 8, she cut off her doll's hair, dismembered it, and gave it a funeral which she made all of us attend. She went to dig it up several days later, but it wasn't there. She's done many other things, but those were the 2 weirdest things she did. Jesus Christ, is your sister a serial killer? She's 23 now and hasn't killed anyone yet, haha, to my knowledge at least. My mom caught me bringing eggs from the kitchen into my room and sitting on them in a blanket nest, hoping they'd hatch. What she didn't catch was that I had been doing this for a while and would put the eggs back into the fridge when they wouldn't hatch after a few days. When my son was about 3 years old, he liked to wash his eyebrows with my facial cleanser. Just the eyebrows. Wet, lather, rinse, repeat. He said it made them nice and soft. As the son mentioned in this comment, I can confirm that my eyebrows were indeed super soft. My 5-year-old nephew went to feed the chickens yesterday. I told him to get a hat. He came back fully naked with gumboots and a straw hat on. Apparently the last time he went to the chicken house they pecked at his junk, and he wants to show them that it's not big enough to eat yet. Kids are weird. If chickens pecked at my junk, I'd put many more layers on it instead of exposing it. It's all about asserting dominance. My boys share a room. They were about 2 and 7 at the time, and I walked in their room and found them rocking on their hands and knees singing "We're Iri the Weina Doogs." I have no fucking idea. Seems pretty self-explanatory. They were the whiner dogs. Packing turds into cardboard tubes with toilet paper and hiding them under the sink. She called them poop bombs. There was like 10 of them under there. My brother put a turd in our 50-gallon fish tank. Killed all the fish but the algae eater. We caught my sons, maybe 6 and 3 at the time, both sitting on the toilet together, one behind the other, pooping. They told us it was a double poop. We forbid them from ever doing that again. Edit to add. For those of you who think we are terrible parents because we stopped our children from doing double poops, please know they seem to be well adjusted and appear to have no permanent damage from this incident. We have provided them with ample outlets for their creativity that do not involve poop. That just means they most definitely did it again. Let's see. My daughter was drinking strawberry milk and then spitting it back into the cup so she could drink it again. I had hosed off a tarp and it was drying on the patio. We went outside and she just stooped down and took a drink out of a puddle on the tarp. Just today I was in the garage and she came out, instantly grabbed a toothbrush I used to clean car parts and stuck it in her mouth. I don't even know anymore. Caught my 2-year-old son licking the floor. He seemed really into it. My 2-year-old licks our cars. The moose lick my car for the salt from the road. You might want to salt your child. My brother decided he wanted a pee hat, which is literally what it sounds like, a hat he could pee in during the night. While already a stupid idea since he didn't empty it, he chose a plastic hat with hole in it. Edit. It was a toy construction hat with 2/4 holes in the top, meaning his makeshift toilet has 2/4 holes for the pee to leak from. And he was keeping it in his toy box. When I was younger, I decided that it would be so cool if I didn't have a separate room to do my business. So, being the genius that I was, I designated a towel in the corner of my room as my pee towel. This was in my room for easily an entire week. Needless to say, it smelled disgusting. At one point, my mom came in and questioned the smell and I shrugged it off saying, it was probably the dog and left it at that. What baffles me the most, however, is that even when I was in a part of the house that was closer to the bathroom, I would go out of my way to use my pee towel. I think my parents still have the towel. Edit. I totally wasn't expecting all these responses. Thank you all so much for your stories. It makes me feel so much better to hear that I'm not alone lol. Also, thank you so much to whoever gave me the award, you're amazing. 3. Edit 2. Whoa, all this feedback is so wild to me lol. Obligatory, I went to sleep and RIP my inbox waking up lol. I never thought I would make a post so that over 2,000 people would find it funny enough to upvote, or maybe so disturbing that it was a pity upvote lol. Anyway, thank you so much, you all are so cool. And thank you for sharing all of your pee stories as well X. When my brother-in-law was 3 he was so obsessed with a toilet plunger they had to buy him his own so he'd stop grabbing the used one. It was his best friend. Once my cousin took her preschooler to our version of the dollar store and let her pick something for everyone in the family for a Christmas present. She bought my uncle her grandfather a plunger. He spent most of that Christmas with it stuck to his bald head. He is a good sort. I caught my twins in 1st grade measuring each other's penises with a tape measure they got to measure their heads in 1st grade for bike helmets. I walk in after their baths and one is on his back with his legs the air. Of course my husband said, that's not something you do until high school. Recently had a recap of the sex talk with my 12-year-old. Told him you know porn is skewed and most dicks aren't that big, that the average is like 4 something soft and 5 when erect. Like an hour later kid is in the bathroom and he's yelling for me to find him a tape measure. I about fell out laughing. When my son was 3 years old, we noticed the smell of burnt plastic coming from our heater vents. I called one of our friends that works in heating and cooling and he came over. Our furnace was in our crawl space so he went down. About 15 minutes later, he asked me to hand him 3 black garbage bags through one of the vents so I did so. He came up later with 3 bags of plastic toys. I had wondered where all my son's toys were going. I asked my son why he was putting toys down the vents. He said, "Mommy, there are alligators down there and if I don't feed them my toys, they will eat my sister." I would have fed my sister to the vent alligators rather than lose all my toys. You're raising a kind kid. I found my son and his cousin absolutely coated in calamine lotion. They'd obviously found it, being 4 and 6 years old, they decided to do a bit of finger painting with it. I get that, but I don't entirely understand why his pants were off. Yes, his penis had calamine on it too. Being that it was the 90s, I do have a hilarious picture of them posing together with their Cali body art. I was the child. I was in my backyard and noticed there were a lot of slugs around since it had been raining. I was concerned that they had nowhere to go and they would be stuck outside where they would drown in the rain. So I went to the garage and got a bin and went around collecting every slug I could find. Then I got the idea to make it into a miniature city. I put in water, moss sticks, etc., and it became a project of mine that I maintained for weeks. Well, one day my mom walks outside for whatever reason and finds me holding a bin that's just full of slugs. She made me put them back and hose the bin down. I was pissed I lost all my hard work. Not a parent, but when I was a kid I used to prefer to poop in the park closest to my house instead of at home. I used to wonder who cleaned up my poop every day because the poop was always gone by the next day. After months of doing this I found out a neighbor mom was the one who kept cleaning up my poop. I was mid-poop one sunny afternoon when I saw her walking towards the park from her condo across the road with a baggie, probably because she had a chore every day that included going to the park to clean up my poop before her children could go play. I was squatted atop the playground in one of those wooden cubicles at the top of a slide, peering out through a crack between the wooden pillars, watching the neighbor mom coming closer, trying to finish my poop at a rapid pace. I finished my poop, didn't wipe because I was a disgusting child pooping in a park, yanked my pants up and flew my poopy ass down the slide and booked it through the field to home base. Raced through the door and continued to live my best life until there was a knock on the door. My mom answered the door, and to my horror there was neighbor lady, and she and my mom had a long talk and outside on the front step. When my mom came in, she looked at me with pure disgust and said no more pooping at the park. My older brother's friends were over and overheard my mom scream that at me. They demanded to know the whole story. Then when I started kindergarten, one of the children of the poop picker upper neighbor mom was in a grade ahead of me and recognized me and told everyone what I had done. I was and always will be the park pooper. Edit. I did not have a very good childhood. I should definitely clarify that. I have no explanation other than I was probably neglected. I'm shocked at how this blew up. Thought I was just telling my poop story. Thanks guys. I saw my kid, who was 4, in the backyard looking for bugs or worms. He grabbed something and put it in his mouth. I asked him about a few minutes later. He said he ate a worm. I laughed and asked why. He said he wanted to know what it tasted like. So I asked what did it taste like. He said it tasted like mud. The next day I asked him if he really ate a worm. He replied yay in the most defeated and embarrassed way any human could. Yeah live, yeah learn eh. I kept finding dead worms in kids' pockets while doing laundry. Then I noticed that while I had him help me in the garden, he would pick the worms up, kiss them and put them in his pocket. He told me he does this because he loves them. I convinced them that the worms are happier in the ground. He has started putting them back on the ground after kissing them. Not yet a mother, but I am the oldest of 4. When I was in high school I had a bathroom in my room. Very important to specify, it wasn't my bathroom, you just needed to go through my room to use it. That said, one day my youngest brother, probably around 6 at the time, was pooping, and being young had no shame, so the door was wide open. I walk into my room to see he had taken all of the cardboard tampon applicators out of the trash can and built extended fingers with them. I could not stop laughing as I told him to take them off. A little girl I was babysitting was slowly stirring her bowl of chocolate ice cream into mush. I asked her what she was doing, and she replied very seriously, "I'm making poo-poo for God to put in people's bottoms." Not a parent, but when I was younger I caught my sister shitting on the carpet. She hadn't had an accident and a little bit ended up on the carpet. She was full on shitting on the carpet. Needless to say, my parents weren't too impressed. You two should have convinced your parents that it was the family pet who did the shitting. That's the thing, we didn't have any pets at that point in time. There was a burglar. Ate all the cookies, played with our toys and didn't put them away, then took a deuce on the carpet and left. I'm just as surprised as you are, Mom. Upon hearing that my preteen daughter tried to escape home via her bedroom window, I spoke up to her. I showed her how easy it is to just walk out the front door. My mother was horrified at the many drawings of coffins floating down rivers I made for her in preschool. She literally cried at the thought a child could do something so morbid. I only drew them because my mom and I watched a magic show on TV a few weeks prior that was so cool to me at the time. The magician locked himself in a coffin and went over a waterfall and came out at the end perfectly unharmed. I didn't get why she was so upset at something so amazing. I am 22 years old. She still tells this story to her friends. Toddler was making soup in a kitchen pot. Comes up to me and says, "Taste, mama. It's pea soup." And I take a pretend spoonful and say, "Yum, tastes good." And then she goes, "Oh, I have to make more." and puts the pot on the floor and squats over it and pretends to pee in it while making a psssshhh sound. Pee. It was pea soup. Just gave my son a piece of bread I made while he was watching a movie on the couch. About 5 minutes later, I walk over. He's got the bread in one hand, his wiener in the other, just munching bread watching Clue.